So I'm here with the wonderful Carla today. Thank you so much for taking the time. Carla, would you mind just giving us a very quick introduction about yourself and a little bit about your company and who you serve?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Carla. I'm based in Lisbon in sunny Portugal, and I run a Spanish company. I'm the CEO and co-founder, and it's called Language Coach AI. And what we do is we have a mobile app that we white label for various companies and language schools around the world in order to get people speaking foreign languages as well as they can. So it's everybody always asks me, what's it like compared to Duolingo? Duolingo is good for recognizing words. Our app is really good for actually speaking a foreign language with confidence and with accuracy and confidence and fluency as well.
So you guys are really leaning into the AI side of things as well, which is
absolutely. It's such a fantastic application for language learning. And well, we also kind of build content using AI as well. So we say we're AI first and mobile first.
Epic, good. And I've seen behind the scenes, I can say for sure that what you guys are doing is absolutely what's the word I would use? I don't want to say groundbreaking, but it's like seriously leading edge in your industry of people that are not really adapting to AI. So I can see how that's working, which is epic to see and be a part of as well. So thank you for getting us in on that as well. I mean, obviously we've been working together now for not that long, to be honest with you. It's been what, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, potentially
something like that. Yeah.
And just talking from experience, there are very few people that I've seen join the program and apply such full force, make it happen action to the program and get results as quickly as you, to be honest with you. But before we dive into those wonderful results, would you mind giving us a little background on your situation before the program, how you were generating leads, what your business situation was and kind of the main struggles you were facing?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we tried really, really hard. I would say we tried to do it ourselves as much as we could. We spent so long reading all kinds of stuff about kind of cold outbound email and, how to do it. And, we spent so long. And to be honest, now in hindsight, it was a total waste of time because basically what I could have done is right from the beginning, just, got you guys in right from the beginning and just gone, okay, this is the way to do it. Because now that we are doing exactly what you say down to the T and we don't have to think about it, it's just saving so much time. And then, well, the results just speak for themselves. But I mean, going back to what we were doing before, it was, we tried cold outbound, we tried, LinkedIn marketing, we tried all the whole kind of social selling thing on LinkedIn, we tried, post all these kinds of things, but the whole machine wasn't kind of working and it was just way too difficult to set up for us to do it ourselves. And then even more than that, it was way too difficult for us to run. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to actually kind of work with you guys, and I think we've absolutely done it, in a way that kind of helps us build the system, but also really enables us to run it in a kind of long-term way. Because obviously you can build it up, but if it's not sustainable, then it needs, 15 people to run it, then that wouldn't work for us. But I'm really confident that we've not only set it up right, but it's really kind of scalable and easy to run for us as well.
Awesome. And I remember before you joined, one of the big questions that you had was how long is this going to actually take me to run? Is it going to take me too much time? Do I need to bring someone in?
Yeah.
Before, when we're having those initial conversations to now, you can actually see the reality of the situation. What is the reality of that from your perspective?
Well, I mean, the question came from the fact that when I tried to do it myself, it did take so long. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to do all this again. And it's going to take me hours and hours and hours and hours. But because in what you train us to do and what you teach us to do and, how you teach us to do it, literally you just follow the instructions and then it's so much quicker. So all of that kind of thinking about, oh, do I do this? Do I do that? It's not really about that now. It's let's just get on and do it because, we have absolute confidence that you guys have been doing this for so long that you've answered all those questions that we are having. So it's just much quicker because it's more about doing than thinking, oh, how am I going to do this? And I think that's really important for me personally as well, because I'm one of these kind of overthinkers and paralysis paralysis, one of those paralysis people. So it was just really good to just take that off the table and just get going and do it.
And most people are like, that's one of the things I'd say holds most people back, is they're overthinking everything. It's like, we've literally laid out the steps to do, just do it. And you guys certainly came in and did it and made a huge impact on the amount of work that you guys put into it. It was like astonishing in terms of how quickly you guys executed and just made it happen, which is awesome. So absolute credit to you. I don't take any credit for any of the stuff that you guys have done, because you guys have gone out and actually done it yourself, which is amazing. Obviously, we've given you the keys and the framework, but you guys have actually made it happen. I know you had probably, I'm going to say probably the best win in the whole of the program so far in terms of how quick it happened. Can you tell us about it?
I can, yeah. And this isn't even without switching the whole thing on, but basically we switched on our first steps of LinkedIn outbound, and within 29 minutes we had a call booked. So like less than half an hour. That was great. And I couldn't believe it. And so I started looking into this person, so who is this person that booked my call? Is this person in my ICP? Yes. Bang in the middle of my ICP. We're not talking about somebody who's looking for a job or whatever. We're looking for within 29 minutes I had a call booked with somebody who was bang in my ICP. So that was really, really great and really, really encouraging, actually. And to be honest, I think I've been not very good at following up with you guys about how things are going, but it's just because the calls are just coming in like thick and fast. Like that 29 minutes one isn't the only one. They're coming in thick and fast, and yeah, really excited now to just switch on the other bits of the engine, let's say.
And if you don't have to divulge too much, but how did the rest of the calls go? Because I know you said you were super busy managing all the meetings you were having. Like, how has that been? How have those conversations gone?
Yeah, really good. So, there's a lot of interest in what we're doing, which is really, really good. We've got small players in there, we've got big players in there. But yeah, as I said, everybody is somewhere in our ICP, so that's really good. So yeah, we're kind of typical B2B, but in terms of education, there's always just a really long sales cycle as they, then actually want to show the product, and they want to show the whole thing to everybody else. And so we haven't closed anything just yet, but I'm really, really hopeful that we will, because those people that we, started having calls with, they're all kind of coming back and asking for more demos, or now can you show it to this person? They're into it and they're responding to it, which is really, really good. And I think that will increase even more when we kind of switch on the kind of LinkedIn posting part of it as well, which we haven't done yet. But I'm sure that will add some kind of FOMO and increase that feeling that it's all happening and we need to get part of this.
Absolutely, they're going to be the next steps, which I'll happily explain away to you afterwards. But yeah, the results have been insane already so far. Like, we've only got a little bit running, and there's certainly a long way to go, given we've only been working together for 6-7 weeks. So yeah, very excited to keep building. In terms of like expectations, the program itself, and being within the community and the other aspects, obviously the results speak for themselves. But in terms of the other elements, in terms of like support and group calls, a lot of people are very hesitant about like joining programs with group calls, because they feel it's not going to be kind of personalized, and they're going to kind of just be part of like a big crowd of people. It's not going to be very specific to them. Like, I appreciate everyone has very different experiences like around those kind of things. I would love to get your opinion on what that process has been like in terms of support, and please be as honest, like as like feedback is very welcomed as well, in terms of how that process has felt for you in terms of the support and alongside the program itself.
Well, the various things. I mean, I think in terms of the group calls, I think they're really interesting, and it's really good and kind of like comforting to know that people are going through things at exactly the same. They're at the same stage as you, and I think that's the interesting thing. Yeah, I know that everybody's in totally different companies and everybody works on totally different things, and we don't really want to be sitting on calls about people who have totally different things to us, but what unites us all is that we're actually all at more or less the same stage in the journey. And because that's the case, it means we have similar questions. So, somebody will ask a question, and then even though it's a totally different industry to mine, and they have a totally different approach, it makes you think, oh, actually, yeah, maybe I should think about something like that. So it is really, really useful. So I think those group calls, despite people not being in the same industry, are really, really useful. And just the kind of the response times, I just have to pick this out. The response time on Slack are just awesome, to be honest. I mean, you guys always say, like, you know, between 24 minutes and 24 hours, we'll get back to you. But to be honest, I don't think I've ever waited 24 minutes for a response from one of you guys. So
I think it says a lot about us that we need to like get a hobby or something.
no, but you must be very well located time zone wise as well, I think. I don't know. But
we've had questions about that ourselves, whether we're in the right time zone. But yeah, we try and be on it as much as we can for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, don't stop what you're doing. But I think that's the nice thing. So you obviously kind of work through at your own pace, and you go through the videos and the tutorials, and you know where you are, all those kinds of things. But you know, everybody's going to have a question that comes up, you know, every now and again that is about their specific situation. It's just really good having that, you know, Slack channel for our really personalized questions, and you just feel at ease to, you know, ask things there because, you know, you're not spamming everybody else doing, you know, the whole thing. So they're doing the program. So it's really useful.
Good. Thank you for the feedback on that as well. You mentioned one thing there, that like the group calls where everybody is in there and they're in a similar situation. Could you go into like a little bit more detail about, like, specifically from your perspective, what that situation actually is?
Yeah, so basically, I think a lot of people have tried these kinds of things before, have failed, and then they kind of, you know, a little bit of apprehension maybe, and then, you know, they kind of say, okay, well, how do I do this, and what's the difference between this and that, and how do I approach, you know, whatever it is. Yeah, it's not a very clear answer, is it? But I don't know, I just get this feeling of cohesion in the group, that everybody's doing the same thing as me. You know, we're not actually all using the same tools, but you know, the tools that we are using to do all the different parts of the program, like, you know, whether it's a email outreach or, you know, LinkedIn automations and stuff, the same questions do kind of, you know, come up, like, how do I phrase this? How do I phrase that? But I think also one of the interesting things about the group calls is that you're actually able to listen to what is actually going on in the group call and then suggest something that's really useful for the vast majority of us for the next group call. So it's like kind of like level of personalization, and I think that makes it really good. So for example, I kind of said that, you know, I feel that I've got like the call booking part of it down. That's obviously, as I said, going really, really well, with a call being booked in 29 minutes, right bang in the middle of my ICP. That's perfect. But then what? You know, the kind of like sales process and those kinds of things I get a bit stuck with. So it was really good that, you know, you're able to adapt to that, and other people said, you know, some similar things, and then, you know, Bob's your uncle. Next Thursday or whatever, we're, you know, jumping into a group call about that sales process, and actually kind of, you know, how to actually close the sales and the meetings once you've had them.
Epic. Awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. The only reason I want to ask that, because it's we get a lot of people like asking like what is going on in the program, obviously, and that generally everyone's in that same position where everyone's quite skeptical, because we maybe sometimes mention some of the methodologies or tactics that we might use, although it's like very foundational driven. There obviously are tactics involved, and we often find that people, because you mentioned like LinkedIn, outbound automation, emails, like people get very like turned off by these concepts because, like you said, they've tried it before and it didn't work for them. So yeah, I just wanted to like, I genuinely wanted to understand from your perspective there, like, what is that situation? Like, what is that feeling of what does that feel like? You know, because it was a long time ago for us. We've been there, but it's obviously very different now with what's out there right now. So yeah, very interesting to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because, I mean, my co-founder obviously, you know, is aware of, like, you know, what we're doing and things, and I talk to him about everything, but he's not actively involved in what I'm doing. And he was even more skeptical than I was at the beginning, saying, oh no, but you've done that before and it didn't work, and, you know, but just because you've done it before and it didn't work, it really doesn't mean it doesn't work. You know, they're two totally different things. So I'm absolutely convinced that, you know, it does work. It works for all industries. There is no industry that it doesn't work for, B2B obviously. But yeah, I can't see any, you know, specific reason why that it wouldn't work for any industry, any company size. I mean, it's just, do you know what I mean? It's not something that works for some and others, I don't think. So if you've done it before, I think, and it hasn't worked, it's because you did exactly what we did, is you tried, but you just didn't do it right.
Yeah. It always comes back to the basics. It's just psychology. and statistics. Like,
Yeah.
do I understand this person, and can I put enough messages out there to get a statistical positive response and scale it from there? And that's really like the foundational element of it. And most people generally miss out the psychology part of it, of understanding what people actually truly want and testing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also speaking about the psychology part of it as well, I think the kind of mindset bit that you do as well is really interesting. So what I mean by that is, you know, we sit on calls all the time with people, you know, in terms of founder-led sales at least, trying to sell our stuff, you know, feeling like we're being a burden and a pain to somebody because we're constantly reaching out and whatever. But you guys have actually managed to get us to kind of change our mindset, going, actually, you know what, we've got a really good product. It's our duty to put it in the hands of these people because it's a really great product for them that will also help them grow and help them, you know, build their own businesses. And that's a really interesting mindset thing, I think. So in actual fact, the work is much more enjoyable as well than it was before.
Because who likes sales and marketing generally, right?
Yeah.
No one likes it. When you're coming at it from the perspective of you're helping people and serving people, then hopefully it makes it a little bit better. Cool. One last thing from me, Carla. I really appreciate your time, obviously, taking the time to have a quick chat with me. If you were directly having a chat with anybody that was considering joining the program or looking to move away from any kind of referral-based word-of-mouth marketing and wanting to have their own independent system running for themselves, what would you say to them? Why would you say it? Like, free space, say whatever you want to them.
I would say it's way easier and much more effective than you think.
Amazing.
So it's not, I mean, I'm definitely not any kind of, you know, expert in marketing and sales or anything like that, but, you know, I've managed to just follow everything really easily. And then on top of that, it's much more effective than you think. So basically it does work. You do get calls booked. You do get things closing. And yeah, we're super, super thrilled.
Amazing. Thanks, Carla. I really, really, really appreciate the feedback.
Welcome.